Hey, hey. Welcome back to Men Talk About Stuff, episode 3. I'm excited to have a good friend of mine, Matt Tuley, joining us. I'm just going to invite him to the chat to see if he accepts. Hey, there he is. Look at that.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I was worried. I wasn't sure if you're not going to know how to figure out how to use all this technology. I'm glad you got it.
As you can see me adjusting my camera, I got no idea.
You're looking at the back of your phone, aren't you? Right?
I'll probably just move myself to get in the frame. There we go. That's how
That
out
works.
of touch.
Yeah. How you been?
Good, mate. Good. Long time listener, first time caller. Thanks for having me.
Great. First time caller.
Appreciate
Caller. Love it.
What's it like over there? What's it like in the future?
In the future, it's good. It's good. Just so you know, your Wednesday will be good. I mean, we're Wednesday evening now. Yeah, your Wednesday will be a good day. Nothing bad happens, so you're nothing to worry about. But hey, for all everyone that's joining in, this is Matt Tuley. He is an Australian living in Seattle at the moment, but you're moving back to Australia. Is that right?
We haven't told any friends or family yet, so thanks for really just blowing it up there. No, but yes, it's countdown. Unfortunately, sadly, it's exciting, sad. But countdown. Yeah, it's about literally a month today. Wow. A month today until we're hopping on a plane via Maui. We're going to treat ourselves via Maui and then head home after that. So yeah.
So how long have you been in Seattle now?
Pretty much 4 years on the nose. So it's 4 years. About 2 weeks ago we landed. So so it's been a decent amount of time. It's
What's your most like? What are you looking forward to most about going back to Australia?
I got my twin brother there, so I'm really looking forward to reconnecting with that and just taking back the dominance. He's had the dominance now.
Yeah,
with the family for a good 4 years. So looking at sort of reclaiming that mantle and just catching and just family and friends, just catching up with that. And look, you know what? I have real Euros and fish and chips.
Yeah, and fish and chips. You can't beat it.
Gravy. Just the food element.
Oh, you can't beat it. I think the first thing we got was fish and chips when we got back to New Zealand. I'm still amazed at how cheap it is and how many people you can feed and how good it is. I'm like, I'm baffled why more countries don't just have fish and chips.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm probably going to put on 20 pounds in a week. That's 10 kilos for our metric friends, but probably just in a week is good. So I think
that's good. It's good. With the heat over there, you'll sweat it all off in no time.
Yeah, well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But
I think so. I don't know.
4 years ago.
Oh, mate. Anyway, we're here to talk about mental health. This is Men Talk About Stuff. It's been fun. We've talked to Billy about being a man, Jay about character, and I'll talk to you about mental health and men's mental health. We're going to look at some myths around that and hear a little bit of your story, so I'm excited. To all the listeners joining in, it's cool to have you here. It's good to see some of your names popping in. I see that Andrew Gadarian has just joined in. He's a good friend of ours, currently in Maui, Hawaii. Mm-hmm. I hear that they're out at a restaurant watching us on their date night. So I'm glad that we could intrude their date night.
Are we supposed to engage with them as well, Martin? Is that how this works on the platform?
If you want to, you can. If you see a comment and you'd like to engage, feel free. Mm-hmm. If I'm not happy with what you're saying, I'll cut you off straight away. So
fair enough.
No worries there. But hey, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're just going to go straight into it because I know a little bit about you and your story and some of the journeys and struggles that you've had. Just in if you can, in an eggshell, real quick, a little bit about yourself and the journey that you've traveled through.
Yeah, for sure. So first, I guess, thanks for having me on to share this topic. I mean, it really is a topic that needs more discussion with men.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book at the moment. I only read one book a year, and I'm on my first book for the year, chapter 1. So it's November. I got a long way to go, but it's called "Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life."
Yeah.
And it was a real eye opener. The first chapter was about just the breaking down the the reality of anxiety for men. And they're like, 50% of men will, and I'll make sure I get the stat right, 50% of men will have moderate to severe suicidal thoughts for a 2-week period in their life. That's 50% of men.
That's
and then
huge.
it's saying 40+% of men, let's call it 50% of men, will battle anxiety in their life. That means if you're still on a bus next to someone, either you or that person are going to face something. So it's such a real battle that men face, and we face it in private, because, we face it in private because I think for men there's a stigma of shame.
Yeah.
I feel inadequate. I'm not a man. If I have to see a psychiatrist or I have to take medication, that disqualifies me as a man. Yeah. And I think for me, that certainly resonated with me. I kept it private. Well, I tried to best I could for my journey. And I think it got amplified for me because, being a twin as well, you don't want to be seen as that weird twin. Oh, you're the twin with the mental issues, right? You just think that everyone's going to detract and pull away. And it just compounds the thought. So anyway, I've digressed. I'll come back.
No, it's good.
So my journey again, so I'm obviously Matt from Adelaide. I got married in 2005, and I've always I've probably had a little bit of mild claustrophobia. Like I don't like going in elevators in a car park. Who does? Yeah. What normal person wants to go in an elevator in a car park, right?
I personally love it, but no deal.
But there was never a point where it deviated, had any impact on my quality of my life. Didn't deviate anything.
Yeah.
So 2010 was actually going on our 5-year wedding anniversary. Just me and Natalie. 5-year wedding anniversary, heading over to Bali. And Bali's a little island to the west of Australia. It's about a 6-hour flight. And it's schoolies week, right? Yep. So it's schoolies week. And being a Tuley at schoolies, if you know the connotation, it's not a good place to be. And so we're on this plane. I'm next to this young kid, and he's starting to get real irritable, real agitated, and just progressively gets worse. Starts getting manic, and he's right next to me. And I'm like, I can't really speak to him because he's sort of just really in this bad dark spot. So then I started thinking, I'm like, well, with what's happening to him, why aren't I experiencing this? What's going on here? Why is he doing something that I'm not? And then it just opened the pan. This I don't want to project, but this is just me, and opened a lid for me that is like I had no idea what was going on. I just spiraled, and this, I'm probably, unfortunately, it happened on the flight to Bali, not the one back. So it just opened this lid. And I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what it was at the time. It was just this mental, fatigue and just torment. And I couldn't rationalize. And so I went to Bali and things just got crazy from there. So, it is like my world had just imploded in a flight. Right? Wow. So from complete normality to absolute crushing chaos.
Wow.
And it was so dramatic. And part of it is, this is around the time of the whole Chappelle Corby thing, for any Australians listening. So that was already, I was a little bit edgy because of that anyway. But then I had to face the flight back, and that was just an absolute hot mess.
Wow.
And got home. So this is 2010. Got home, and I tried to just, shake it off. It's like, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. You're a man, deal with it. Yeah. And I just started to spiral. I remember chatting to my dad, just in tears, going what the heck is going on? Yeah. Why is this happening? Because, as an engineer, I want an answer to a question. They can't be great. It has to be an answer. So I remember I just spiraling, absolutely spiraling. And then it progressed from sort of anxiety to complete agoraphobia. So I couldn't leave the house.
Wow.
I just, anywhere that wasn't home or a hospital was just mental chaos. I couldn't deal with it. So I remember, so at one point, this is the peak of where everything's just spiraling. I was a walking pharmacy. I had that much Xanax on me, and I could mentally tell you every hospital within the whole state. I had memorized it. Because for me, home was safe and a hospital was safe. And it was only perceived safety, right? It's not real.
That's right.
Safety. And I could tell, I would drive 40 minutes to go see my parents. I had everything mapped out. I knew that there was a 15-kilometer dead zone where I was 15 kilometers from help, and that was my absolute chaos time.
Wow.
But anyway, it was absolute dark days. And it is that, they call it the black cloud. And it really is that. It's this black cloud that just torments your brain, and you can't rest from it. There's no peace. You wake with it, you go to sleep with it, and you're looking for any excuse to escape. And I certainly did. I tried, it got dark. It got really dark. And I couldn't rationalize, because I'd been around the world twice before. It just made no sense.
Yeah.
So, and as a Christian too, if I can be real with you, I was just so angry at God. Yeah. Because I'm a Christian. This shouldn't happen to me, Jesus, because I believe in you shouldn't have allowed this to happen. And because it has happened, you owe me a miracle. Mm-hmm. And so I was absolutely I was so angry at God. So anyway, this journey went on for I'll cut the fat off a minute.
You're good.
This journey went on for 5 years. But I learned a lot over that 5 years. About 2 years before the end, and before I sort of got my breakthrough in it, God actually gave me a dream. And I've only ever had 2 times in my life where I felt that the hand of God actually touch and say, it's undeniable. And he gave me this dream, Psalm 6, 3 times, which never happens for me. And Psalm 6, I'll paraphrase it, is like, God, I've been crying all night. Why have you not heard me? I'm getting crushed by my enemies. And then God says, I've heard you. Hold on. Your breakthrough is coming. That's a horrible paraphrase, but that's what it is. And I just held on to that. And that was 2 years, though. I got that 2 years before I actually got the breakthrough.
Wow.
And then I started going to psychologists and actively twice a week, taking medication, and step by step just learned to really break down the physics of anxiety and panic attacks, understanding what they are, what they do, what the sensations are, and how you manage them.
Yeah.
And then step by step, and then in 2016, God gave my breakthrough, and just complete healing of it, and haven't had that mental fog since. And it's just been absolute game changer.
Wow. So that was 5 years. So you said 2011 to 2016.
2010 to 2015.
15. So 5 years. Wow.
2015. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and a few questions after all of that. That was really good. So you mentioned, I think, in the Christian world, we need to talk about this as men, but also we just need to talk about it as Christians, because you hear it too often, where the church looks at fear and anxiety, and they call it a sin, and they almost shame you if you're ever fearful or anxious. They quote scriptures like, don't be fearful for everything, but pray about everything, which doesn't help in any moment. So when did you had the dream, we really felt God prompted you, but was there a journey in you kind of like restoring that faith in who Jesus was for you? Or was it kind of like when that dream happened, did it start rebuilding, or do you get the question?
Yeah, I get the question. Yeah. I mean, for me, it took a long time. It took a long time. And I think what I learned, I still don't know why I went through what I went through. I haven't had an answer to it about the why piece of it. Yeah. And to be honest, I probably never will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a story of Job, right? I must have read Job, I kid you not, probably 50 times, 42 chapters, probably 50 times. Just marinate. I encourage people to read Job and just marinate on that story, because he never knew why he went through what he went through. Yeah. But for sure, and I had to learn as well to break that down, because there is that stigma. So you have to be careful who you share your story with too. So I certainly encourage people to share your story, but share it with the right people, because
that's so good.
Sometimes Christians have the best of intentions, but unless you've walked through something that intense, people will say hurtful things, and it's just out of ignorance. Yeah. And because they haven't walked it. It's good intentions, but don't understand the pain of words, because it's easy to sometimes point to scripture and say, well, you don't have enough faith. Yep. Or you've got sin in life. Yeah. When we know that's just not true. And to really, hold on to hope that there is breakthrough, and find those right people to trust, and do speak to people. Do find those rocks and speak. And certainly that was something for me, to find the right people that you can confide in, to really share and journey with you.
Yeah, that's so good. I think we touched on that a little bit last week with Jay. We you need people around you. You need friends. But I love how you put it. Find the right people to talk to, because you're right. You can say the right thing to the wrong person, and it all go sideways. How long did it take you to realize you needed the right people? Like, when did you get to that point where you're like, I need to talk to somebody about this, and it needs to be the right people?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was quick. It was it was really quick, because I knew pretty much within about a month I had to get help, because it was just uncontrolled spiral that was just getting compound on compound.
Yeah.
And so I really put I researched quickly, and I got onto it, and found that right. And I bounced around. I found there was a few different psychologists, different techniques that weren't the right fit for me. And so it took probably 3 till I found the right one to really find that breakthrough, and to really, for me, that was it was the glove that fit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And how long did you see them for? Like you said, twice a week. For how long?
Yeah, I probably saw them. Probably initially, it was probably twice a week. Just hit them hard, because when you're in that moment of panic and anxiety, you can't think logically. You can't think rationally.
Yeah.
And especially as men, you try and hold on in your own strength to try and break through, because that's what a man does. A man just gets it done and solves it, right?
Yeah.
And I certainly tried that, but I realized that in that pit of darkness, you can't think rationally and logically to bring sense to a situation.
Yeah.
And that's where I just had to get help, because they can really bring light in that darkness. And for me, for me, he was a Christian psychologist that specialized in anxiety and panic attacks. So it was the perfect love.
That's cool.
It took me a while to find him, but you just be proactive, get the help. I think you're brave to do it.
Yeah.
That's the brave step.
Yeah, that's it. Talking to people. I think, and it's so underrated. I think we dismiss it as men, especially, like, oh, we don't need to talk to people. I can deal with myself. But we need to start. I mean, even if you're married, talk to your wife first. Start there, and then grow your circle of people you talk to. Find a specialist if you're struggling. That's so good, man. That's so good. Another
to be honest,
for you. Yeah.
To be honest, that is a really great point. It's something that I was too afraid to speak to Natalie when I was in the depths, because I felt that, as the man of the house, I have to be the rock for her. She can't be the rock for me. Yeah. And that's something I learned. It took me years till I actually opened up fully. Like, I'm talking about, I mean, she knew something's going on, but to the full extent of it.
Yeah.
And it took a while to actually open that, because that's the other stigma.
Yeah.
You need to be the rock.
Yeah. And anxiety, it's so crippling and makes you feel so helpless, and you want to be strong for your wife and your family. I get that. Man, that's cool. So tell me, you've written a blog. I've read it. I like the blog. I'm going to share it on our Freedom City Church website, and on here for people to read after this if they want, if that's okay with you, Matt. Even if you said no, I'm probably still going to share it anyway, because I've got it. So you said in there that you lived this life for a while where you'd be a work self, but yet you'd be struggling in the private with this crippling anxiety. Like, your friends wouldn't even know that you're battling this anxiety, and your work wouldn't know. But then in the shadows, in the background, you're really struggling with anxieties. How was that balancing and juggling those two worlds? And when did you realize? Well, did those worlds ever mesh together at some point?
So I got really, really good at disguising it.
Yeah.
To be honest, well, actually, I'll take that back. I didn't get that good. My twin brother pulled me up a few times when I'd maybe taken one too many Xanax tablets, and I probably should have, because I was having a dark day. And when you're skipping to work with your briefcase, it actually looks a bit more obvious, and you think it does. So he pulled me up a few times, like, yeah, you're on something today. I'm like, I'm trying to manage. But outside of that, I did get really good at disguising it, and I got really good at controlling situations. So if I didn't want to go to something, or because it knew it would be a panic situation for me and I couldn't deal with it, I would control it. So I'd put things on my terms. So I would either delegate a task because I couldn't face it, or I arrange it in a situation that I could mentally manage it and be there and still function.
Yeah.
And and so I do that. And I remember one time I was in Perth for a mining project, and I had to fly out. And this is a couple of years into my journey. So I've already started to establish psychology, started to have steps of breakthrough. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm on a good track here. I'm heading in it's still dark days, but I'm taking steps. And I had to go to this, and for me it was a combination of things. I had to fly in a small plane. I had to go to a super remote place that I'd never been to, and in the same day fly back. For me, it was the three things that became such as I couldn't separate them or break them into segments and do it one time. It became this big overwhelming thing. And I just remember at the airport, and I'm sitting there going, they're calling aboard. I'm like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm a couple of years in, right? I'm like, I can't do it. So I ended up taking my ticket to the Qantas desk. I said to him, so I got the flu. I can't get on. I got the flu. And then, I just called work, said, no, I can't go. I'm sick. And then I just went home and had a sickie. And that, and man alive, I beat myself up about that, and I did for years, because for me, I felt like that was failure. When really is a step. You've taken 10 steps forward, you go one step back, take another 10 steps forward.
Yeah.
But we are our own worst enemy. I tell you that. No, we beat ourselves up so much because we expect so much when it's so unfair to our own selves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got really good at disguising it. But, and how much of a pleasure I am at home. Like, you've seen me in my natural state, and I'm a pleasure. But I mean, I was a hot emotional mess at home. Just because that was the safe zone. I could just drop barriers, and I could just somewhat be myself. And so they didn't have to collide too much because I could control it. Yeah. But it was certainly heavily controlled, disguising.
Yeah, man, that's great. That's great. So did you disguise it for the 5 years, or was there a point where you started telling work or friends, or is this the first time some friends are finding out?
No, it probably took towards the latter couple of years before I actually opened up to work. Okay. And said, hey, I'm struggling with this, and I just need some space. And I need some ability to still function with this and still do what I need to do. And work was great. And that was, it's not like I went and broadcast that in the email to the office, but certainly those that needed to know knew, and I brought that in, and it's amazing the support you get when you actually open your mouth and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's and can I deviate for a second, Martin? Is that okay?
Please do.
I'm a pretty private person. I wear my heart in my sleeve, but I would have happily taken this journey to the grave. But I just felt the Holy Spirit prompted me just to, it took me 2 years to write it. It took me 2 years to write that testimonial.
Wow.
And but what I did realize after that is the amount of friends who I'd walked with for life. I'm talking lifers.
Yeah.
Who I've walked with, then read my blog, turned around and said, you know what, I've been battling with something very similar. And I had no idea. We walked side by side in life. They had no idea I went through it. I had no idea they did. Wow. And it's just the freedom, the opportunity to really just, support each other and realize this is a common thing. There's no shame. And was really some amazing sort of, if I can use the word fruit, that sort of came out of that. I didn't want to do it, but the fruit that came out of it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And that goes back to what you're saying at the very beginning. 50% of men struggle with anxiety and fear, but yet we don't talk about it. And like you said, you wrote the blog, you mentioned it, and then all of a sudden you're hearing from your friends that they've been going through the same thing. Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. Well, hey, we said we'd go 15 minutes. We've gone 24. This has been too good. But one more question for you before we go. Okay. As a man who's battled anxiety, okay, and if you had to give any advice to give others, what would that be?
Okay, I would say hold on to hope. there is hope when you are you're in the depths of it. You think you think it's hopeless, and I've been there. I've had that. You just can't see any light, but there is hope. Don't ever forget there's hope. And the mantra that I had through my whole journey was avoid avoidance. 2 simple words, but basically it meant just basically face your fears step by step. And I'm talking start baby steps and just expose yourself to it, the situation, come back, take another step and record them and just keep step by step. And it's okay. You take a step back, that's fine. Just keep facing it, keep pushing yourself. Because really anxiety and panic attacks, although it feels real and it might manifest itself physically, but it's nothing more than just an annoying and uncomfortable pest. That's all it is. Can't control you, can't make you do something. It's just flippin' annoying. Yeah. And so there is restoration, hope on that side of that giant. So just hold on to that. And dive in, I'll say lastly, but really should be firstly, is it's God's word is real. Marinate in the word in Job. Just sit in Job for a while, read that, marinate in it. And take yourself from not just comprehending the word and going, yeah, I understand what God's saying, but believing the word. And going, oh, that is truth. And I'm going to trust God and I'm going to come the other side because God is real. He sits on the throne, and can I ask actually one more thing, Martin, may I?
Yeah,
digress?
do it.
One more thing.
Yeah, do it.
Can I encourage men to do something too? Find someone like a trained psychologist or someone where you can just be you and dump everything on the table. Yeah, like that is one of the freeing things that I've learned was to find a psychologist where I can drop every barrier. Yeah. I don't have anything up anymore. I don't have to put up a facade. I can sit there in tears, a hot mess on the floor, and just say everything and anything in a safe zone to allow them to bring light and some irrationality and to break it down.
Yeah.
In times like that, for me, I still see, every now and then, like you do with a car, you need a tuner. I still touch base with a psychologist every now and then. Yeah. Just like if I feel things bubbling, just touch base, hit it on his head, and move on. So anyway, just want to encourage men that listening about don't be ashamed. It is actually something very freeing just to have that complete and utter vulnerability.
So cool. Love it. Bro, love it. Thank you so much for talking with us. Miss you. Can't wait till we can meet up again sometime, somewhere, maybe here or Australia. We will, I'm sure, at some point, but it's been good. For everyone listening, we're planning a church in New Zealand or maybe July, but we're going live services in a couple of weeks, so look out for that. But we're excited. Matt's actually going to move to New Zealand and be a part of it, Matt? Isn't that what you said? You're going to move here and you're going to work for free?
You said worship.
I'm excited.
Looking forward to that.
Worship leading, yeah, that's right. I can't wait. But no, excited. So we're going to post this up live after this on our Freedom City NZ Instagram page, YouTube page, and on here. So check that out. Share it with your friends. But love you, Matt, and thanks for joining in.
Appreciate it, man, and love you also.
All right, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.